I'm really happy to be here. When I thought about this, and I thought about being a friend of the Dominican Sisters, I really realized that they have been a friend to me for 68 years, and I think that's really important. A friend is somebody who comes in your life and recognizes your potential and never leaves you. And I think women friends especially, they're like renewable power sources. So if you use that as context, that's how I see my relationship with the congregation. It began in 1960 at Aquinas High School. I grew up in Mount Carmel parish, right down the block. And my parents were garment workers. And tuition at Mount Carmel was $3 a month for my brother and I. So Aquinas was $20 a month. That was never going to happen. However, Bishop Pernicone, the pastor, Sister Concepta got together, and I had a scholarship. This was huge because there was no way I was going to go to a Catholic high school. And in a family of it's an immigrant family. They came from Italy. This was something like a gift. And when I finished at Aquinas, there was some recognitions that I received, but I kept this. This is a medal I received for perfect attendance for 4 years. Now, my mother should have gotten this medal because, I was out the door every day, but I think it's just an indication of how valuable that gift was. So I come from this little Italian neighborhood, and I go to Aquinas, and I meet Irish people. I had never met Irish people. I tried to make friends. I tried to, just be me. And I approached Sally O'Connor, friend in my homeroom, and I said, "Sally, why did your parents give you a boy's name?" And she looked at me like I had 6 heads. And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, all the Sallys I know are Sally boys. Salvatore, named for their grandfather." So I had a bumpy start, learning to be at Aquinas. My other bumpy start happened in a classroom. I had Sister Mary Lewis for algebra, and she was teaching us about probability. Sister Mary Lewis was very tall and very intimidating. I am not. So she teaches us about probability. She says, "Are there any questions?" I raise my little hand. I'm in the back of the first row because we sat alphabetically, so E is in the back. And I said, "Oh, so does that explain the odds when you play a number straight and combination?" And she turned red. She pointed to the door, and she said, "Out." So I followed her out, and I was totally lost. I had no idea what I had done. Goody two-shoes. I had no idea. I figured it didn't explain numbers, She huffed and puffed for a little bit and then stopped. And she said to me, "Where do you live?" And I said, "Like 6 blocks from here, like Mount Carmel." And she said, "Oh, you're right. But don't ever talk about that in my classroom again." Over the years at Aquinas, I was given gifts by my friends. Forensic League taught me to have a voice, to be confident. The Westinghouse Science program taught me to be analytical. I learned to care for others. We had a nursing home right next door, the Little Sisters of the Poor, and we would go over there and help out. I developed a moral compass, a right and wrong, a whole bunch of things that, as I said in my definition of friendship, friends see the potential and stay right there with you, and they stayed with me. So I graduated. I went to college. I majored in biology. I was going to go to medical school, but medical school financially was not going to happen in the near future. So I really didn't know what I was going to do, but I had to have a job, and the phone rang. And I truly don't remember who it was on the phone, which sister, but it was someone who had heard there was an Aquinite who graduated from college who could teach biology, and could I come to Rosary in September and teach AP biology and whatever. I knew nothing about teaching. But I thought, I know how to learn, because that's what I learned at Aquinas. I learned how to learn. And I learned about what good teaching looked like. So I said, okay. And so there I am again with the sisters finding me another home and another place. I moved on to public school and a 50-year career in education as an educational leader, a principal, all sorts of things. But it was always in the background, that set of skills that I had. In the early years, I remember Aquinas started a support a student program. Now, I made $5,300 my first year at Rosary. So I didn't have a whole lot of extra money. You know, Rosary was upstate. I had to buy a car and do all these things. So, but I figured I would do something because someone did it for me. Support a student became a huge thing. So the sisters gave me a way to give back. It's the way that phrase goes, be the change you want to be, you want to see in the world. So they gave me the opportunity to help other young women, and that lasted probably 30, 40 years. You know, I stayed doing that. So now we fast forward again to 2012, and my mom is now 91 and living in the Bronx in the same building, in the same neighborhood, and she really couldn't stay there anymore. And there was Dowling, was right down the road from me. So again, the sisters were part of my life when I needed them to be part of my life. And Sister Margot and Sister Eileen and Sister Gloria and, you know, they were all there, you know, to make those years at Dowling really special for my mother and great for me. And when my mother passed, you know, the funeral was back down in Mount Carmel, and Sister Margaret Ryan and Sister Catherine Rose were there. So I see this award as far more honoring the friendship that the Dominican Sisters of Spark Hill have brought to me than vice versa. And I'm just honored to be here. And I also like to congratulate Stephen Pappas and Chris Powers, my co-honorees tonight, for all of the good that they do every day.